have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
G'day, folks. How you going? Yeah, the cyclone's coming. It's not here yet. I just had the jitters, but it's coming. We'll talk more about that soon. How are you? It's been a little while since we've chatted. My apologies. And we are back on the Voice of Freedom channel after a week of this from the bastards that do that to you at YouTube. But they're back. So, and it looks like, oh, look, the Voice of Freedom got a notification on Rumble right now that I'm live. So I don't know how you've gone tonight for notifications, but let us know in the chat if you got notified of a live stream. And if you're watching this afterwards, recorded, please put something down in the comments. I do read them. I don't answer a lot of them unless you're asking me something specific, and then I try to. So I've been a bit lax. So over the last few days, I have been on the road. Flew to Canberra at 4 o'clock on Monday morning. And as you saw at a couple of different points, I tried to do a live from the wonderful Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. But the microphone on the Voice of Freedom channel, which is the one that has the Magna Carta flag and We the People on the logo, if you are watching that channel is called The Voice of Freedom. If you are watching one that has the cartoon head of me on it, that's called VOF. And there is another one called VOI, V-O-I, C-E, Freedom. Freedom, all one word. And that one is down, I think, for a couple more days. YouTube only found that one a day or two after they banned me last time. So if you haven't bookmarked all those other channels, then you've probably missed a few shows if the VOF channel is the only one you're following. Hopefully, well, there is a possibility we might be able to upload a couple of those shows onto the VOF site. We'll see how that goes. Things around here have been a little busy, but we'll get to that in a moment. I was talking about the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, and Sandy, I think, was first in the room tonight. Yeah, that's what she says. God love her and Baz. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. I can't tell you enough. Oh, that's interesting. It's all frozen again. Now I'm going to act like this is radio and wait for it to catch up. So I'm just going to keep talking. Sandy and Baz hosted me on Monday evening, and I didn't get there till late. I was towing a trailer that was pretty heavy, and I didn't pack it. All I did was drive it, but it was loaded in a very interesting manner, can I just say. And, the tarp didn't last all the way. Let's say that to the Donkey Sanctuary. And thank you to Baz and Sandy for the donation of a tarp that didn't last all the way to the Gold Coast. Got to Ballina before I had to put another 4 straps on everything to hold it all together. I'm sure if a copper had followed me up the highway, they would have pulled me over, because it must have been acting like a tent out the back of the trailer. So anyway, that was a bit of excitement on the road. If you saw a big grey flag and a black Jeep travelling up the freeway yesterday from southern New South Wales or central New South Wales north, then great. And did I come through a lot of that rain? Well, we'll get to the rain, I guess, very shortly. There are a few other bits and pieces. Right, now it's kicked me out of the studio. Boo. Interesting. Got kicked out again. So did you hear what I was talking about when it all froze? Did you hear up to any point? Yeah, okay, what that? Thank you very much. Driver did take full responsibility of his load. I did eventually Oh, shit. That's what's locking it up. I put up your chat and the whole thing locks up. That's very interesting. I'm going to see whether or not I can leave and come back. No, I can't leave and come back. Even more interesting. I don't think there's much chance I'm going to get a better run out of this off. Hello. Right. Don't know if anybody's still out there. Don't know what's playing around with me tonight, folks, but it's certainly playing funny buggers with the system. I've just restarted everything, and we'll see whether or not that plays out any better. Okay, I'm very sorry. If you, I'm trying to figure out how much you heard. Gonski Nada, beautiful. Welcome to the country every morning. All right. So, yeah, it seemed to be shitting itself every time I put one of your chats up. So I'm going to put that up, and look at that. It didn't shit itself. Belinda, you must be a good luck charm. Righto, Steve. We're here. Everything's going again. G'day, Pete. Hope things are going well in your part of the world. Dave-O, lovely to hear you, mate. Diversity hires at Telstra are probably doing this to me. I am on Telstra at the moment, so we shall see what happens there. Now, Ainsley Bullion, I just want to let you know, because there's some interesting shit happening in the markets at the moment. Ainsley Bullion are closed in Brisbane from now until probably Monday. And if you are interested still in buying some silver or some bullion of any kind, the Melbourne stores and the online stores are both still open. So you can purchase online, and don't forget to use my name or VOF in the notes section there. and you'll get a little discount off whatever you buy. And if you are lucky enough to be in Melbourne, nowhere near a cyclone, you can wander in and see Rob and the team down there and wave the flag. And I look forward to hearing the great stories that come back to me through Ainsley, particularly, well, I suppose both offices, but I get a lot of beautiful comments from people who go into Ainsley and say wonderful things about the show and everything else. So down in Melbourne, so I appreciate that very, very much indeed. So and Tony, I reckon you might be one of the culprits that do that. Just saying. All right, so we'll remove Ainsley there for a minute and tell you what I could do. I could share that one instead. Let's have a little bit of a chat about what's going on in the world with this thing. All right. So this is a live windy.com shot of the current cyclone. It is sitting a little under 300 kilometres off the coast of Brisbane. And it is looking at this point in time like crossing the coast somewhere between the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast. And I know that's a pretty large, broad region, but it's being a little unpredictable from normal cyclones. Can we just say that? Now, a lot of people have been very concerned about cyclonic conditions, the winds involved and all that. So you can see that in that particular area there, it's about 40 knots. Now, the southern quarter or the southern quadrant of a cyclone is usually the most violent because it's all had the power to wind up, if you like, in and around the eye. And it gains a lot of strength from what it brings in from the outside. So the southern quadrants are usually the most dangerous. And if we look there, 32 knots, if we drag that down, 34. Out here, it's still 34. As we get closer to the coast, it'll get a little bit, it may get a little faster, 31. Now, this is well down south of me. This is along the north central coast, I suppose, of New South Wales. We'll move it just a bit up to there, which I think is the southern end of the Gold Coast. We'll zoom in and have a bit of a look. 22 knots. So I think is that Byron? Whoop, he's just trying to zoom in. Oh, that's Tweed. So 25 knots at Tweed Heads at the moment. And if we go up to Moreton Island, where it's meant to be crossing tomorrow night or early the next day, it's only 26 knots. A lot of that wind is coming in inland, but not a lot of it. 13, 12, even closer to the coast, it's still only 12 knots, 16 knots. So the big winds, if you want to call it that, 37 knots around here, and if we move right to the eye, very quiet as you would expect, 5. So I'd like to just query a little bit what's going on with all the stories of high winds, and it could well go up to a category 3 or so, we're being told. Now, I'm no meteorologist, I'll be honest. However, I've been given weather reports and been through more than a few cyclones and sat through 24 hours inside a radio station, more than 24 hours inside a radio station, making sure that everybody could get information about cyclones. So I've had a little bit of experience with them. This is a pretty weird cyclone in so many ways. And I want to show you why I think it's a bit weird. Now, we've shown you on this program before, and I want to thank Mick because he sends a lot of this detail through to me. We've shown you previously the emissions, let's call them, on the bomb websites, the radar emissions, these beams, these very powerful beams shooting thousands of kilometers, and which, in concert with the weather patterns, seem to be used to not only generate the weather pattern, but to control which way it moves. Now, we've long known that there have been ships at sea, not only using ionospheric heaters, which is what we're talking about here, things that heat the ionosphere. And what happens there? Well, if you heat something, it goes up. And then it comes back down and gets cool, and that starts to bubble and creates a thunderstorm, so to speak. But if you keep sending that heat, heating it up, dropping it down, heating it up, dropping it down, that eventually builds a hell of a cauldron. And then if you bounce what you're doing here over to another ionospheric heater that might be located out offshore somewhere, it does the same thing from a different direction, heats and mixes it, and stirs it, and does all that kind of crap. Now, it's difficult to get imagery from those ships at sea. However, Mick did catch some of that. He didn't get a screenshot of the image, but what he did do for me is show me where the image emanated from and which way or which direction the pulse was going. And this is what it said. Now, that's Norfolk Island, folks. I have some friends on Norfolk Island. Unfortunately, they're not on Norfolk Island at the moment. Otherwise, I would be asking them whether or not, and I seriously doubt that they're going to have an ionospheric heater on Norfolk Island. But I think they've probably got a boat not too far away from it. And it won't be a boat, it'll be a ship, a very large ship. And I think I've shown images here of it before. These look like huge power stations on these ships, which is in fact what they are, but they're a HARP, ionospheric heater. They come up out of the hulls of these things and do amazing shit. Now, I was going to say a few other things about the cyclone. Mainstream media usually take a very serious view to any of these big weather events, and they will talk up the danger rather than talk it down. And I don't want to dismiss the danger involved in cyclones in any way, shape, or form. They are very serious, even little ones like Category 2, where you would ordinarily expect winds of up to maybe 120 kilometers an hour or maybe a little bit higher, but not really destructive winds unless you've got stuff lying around that's not tied down, in which case it can become a missile pretty easily. Or if you unfortunately live in an area surrounded by gum trees, in which case you've got to be a little bit careful. And I will be relocating the bus tomorrow morning just to be cautious, which is what I'm saying. The mainstream media are being very cautious. And in doing so, I'm not completely sure who's feeding them the information about winds. Rain will be a significant issue, but even still, I can take you back to that windy map, and there is a rainfall map that says when the cyclone hits where we are, and pretty much all the way along the coast, we'll get 34 mils of rain, 34 to 38 mils of rain in that dump. Now, they're predicting 600 to maybe 1,000 mils, a meter of rain. But they're predicting that over 8 days, not coming just with the cyclone. So I'm not sure that the mainstream media are saying the rainfall prediction over the extended period is. Certainly, there will be pockets of rain where maybe 400 mils will get dumped in a couple of hours. And it certainly will create havoc in those areas. And sandbagging at the moment is going on as fervently as possible, even though the queue to get the sandbags has been quite staggering in Brisbane, and I think along the Gold Coast in certain parts today as well. Big tides are what is going to affect the Gold Coast particularly, and I suspect the Sunshine Coast as well. And when I say big tides, I mean bloody big tides. These pictures were taken today. I got them from Gold Coast Photography. Thank you very much, off your Facebook page. Some brilliant work from some of the photographers just out along the beach today. But get a load of the waves there. I mean, you'd seriously want to be a professional kind of surfer to be out there playing in that sort of stuff, wouldn't you? And the undertow and God almighty. So here's hoping that we don't have too many international guests who are going out there to test their skills in the ocean, because even the flat days tend to get those a few of those tourists. So yeah, all power to you if you're brave enough to go out and surf and stuff like that. And I noticed the jet skis are towing them in, so yeah, it'd be a bit hard to paddle out. You'd get buggered pretty quick. But if you are around the coast, then yes, water is going to be a big issue. There are big seas coming, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get these huge amounts of rain. Pockets, as I say, might, but it's not going to happen everywhere. And certainly by the looks of it, they're saying it's not going to happen here where we are. I'll be honest, we could probably do with 300 to 400 mils of rain. It wouldn't be too bad. When we start getting more than that, it can start to wash away roads. So we've taken a lot of precautions today. We've put in new drainage or cleared drains so that they don't back up and start little rivers running down roads that, we've already spent a lot of time and money trying to make good. So that's what our preparation has entailed around here, and tying everything down that needs to be tied down, emptying bins that need to be, taken out of the wind, at least everything that's in them. And so bin run today, that was all a lot of fun. We were coming back from that when we did the little live earlier to see whether or not Voice of Freedom was working. So, it's been a busy day here. And I was talking to Beck from Truth Seekers. I'm not sure if she really wants to get up that early in the morning, but we will see. We're expecting this cyclone to hit somewhere Thursday night, Friday morning. Now, probably Friday morning very early, around the 4 a.m. mark. Now, if that happens, then I'm thinking I'm going to be awake. So we might just see whether or not we can get an internet connection and go live while it's happening. Now, if you are going to be up and awake and keeping yourself alert for anything that's going on with big winds or big waves or whatever, and you're anywhere in the affected zone, I want you to email me, carl@vofhq.com, with your phone number, or better still, I'll have your email address. And if you have the ability to give us a report from where you are, I'll link you into the system and you can tell us what's going on in your part of the world. So I'm not sure, Sunflower, if you're going to be up and awake up in your part of the world, or Margie up in your part of the world, which is a little further north, I think, than Sunflower. Well, I know Skipper Pete will probably be awake, but he's in Ingham, and this cyclone's not going to affect him too much. But there are some people down the northern rivers I know who might poke their heads up. They might not. We'll see. They're not on the coast exactly. They're up in the hills. So they'll be like me, dodging gum trees. So if you are going to be up and keeping abreast of it all Thursday night, Friday morning, then, email me and give me some way to contact you, and we will link you into the show, because we're all about being able to help if we can. And if you find yourself in a predicament where you do need help, we might be able to get someone to you. Somebody else might be watching at the time, or we might know people. Somebody might know somebody in that area. You never know. So we're all about being able to help in times of crisis. And if this actually does turn into one, I'd like to be here to help. So that's the plan. And Beck from Truth Seekers might well get out of bed and come and have a chat. And during that time, We might also be lucky enough to get a chat with Juan and SG Anon. From them, I'd be very keen to discuss a lot of what happened today in America. Now, it's not the first time, but it is not a regular thing where the president comes and addresses the Congress this early, 1 month into his second term. However, today, Donald Trump came to town. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives were represented. There were quite a lot of Democrats who didn't turn up. There was one in particular who wound up getting himself thrown out, a Democrat named Green from Texas, who just started shouting and carrying on like a pork chop in the first sort of 3 minutes of Trump's speech, and was given the chance to sit down and shut up, but decided he wouldn't do that. Trump, well, I guess it sounded a little bit like he was bragging, but he was all about wanting to unite, at least in the beginning of this. But the Democrats showed that they are just very, very difficult people to work with. He does and has made executive orders that will affect Australia, and I think the steel tariff won't be lifted, or steel and aluminium tariff won't be lifted until the election here in Australia is concluded, because I don't think he wants to work with the Labor Party here at all. And, well, who could blame him? He is asking the Congress, though, to put forward legislation. Wow. I'll let him tell you.
And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie. And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you.
Very well received. And I think after the ejection of Senator Green, there were a number of other Democrats who either left voluntarily or were asked to leave. Nancy Pelosi wasn't one of them. But I swear, after Donald Trump's a portion of Donald Trump's speech that was addressing the Democrats directly, I think somebody brought a cat into the Congress and it shit in her mouth.
Why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
Told you. Didn't it look like a cat shit in her mouth? I swear to God. Australian politics, like American politics, is very divided. And it shouldn't be that way. We should have people representing us like the Americans want to have people representing them. And I'm not suggesting for a moment they've got them at the moment, like we don't. That's why things have to change. But Donald Trump today, in his address to the Congress, was very direct. And I don't think he was direct in an angry or bitter or nasty sense. I think he was, in a way, ashamed to have to point it out and was trying to show the American people what kind of people, the Democrats, being represented in the House, really are.
This is my fifth such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
He's 100% right. It just shouldn't be this way. And I fear our parliament is in exactly the same position. If we had, and I'm not suggesting for one moment that Peter Dutton is this person, if we had someone similar to Trump in Australia who was leading a group, it would need to be a group of independents, not a party. And they would need to appoint somebody completely independent, because better than half the reason, I suspect, that such power is being wielded by Trump is because he now knows where all the money's going, thanks to Doge. They'll be tracking back every bank account that it's been paid into, and they will be chasing it. So I saw a thing today that suggested the elites know, the bankers know, the musicians know, all the celebrities know. The only people who don't know are the people. And I tend to agree. Everybody at the top end of town knows the jig is up. So commenting on this is for me a bit like commenting on a movie, and reviewing a movie, even though we haven't got to the end of it yet. We, I believe, are a lot closer to it. I was expecting more today out of the Trump speech, but he wasn't done rubbing it into the Democrats, not by a long way.
I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again. There's never been anything like it. The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades. We won all 7 swing states, giving us an electoral college victory of 312 votes. We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country. And won counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever.
So, some interesting comments in there. I've got to say, the speech, at least the parts of it that I heard, I started off listening to it here, heard about the first 45 minutes of it in here, and I captured a few bits. And then we have a very large pipe. Well, not a very large pipe. It's sort of 400 mil pipe under a road that I got a call today saying it's blocked and we needed to unblock it. Otherwise, we're going to have a torrent of water running down a road that we only just recently repaired. And I got down there to unblock this. I thought it'd take a little while, and I had this whole Trump thing playing on my phone at the time. But unfortunately, this thing is blocked from one end to the other, and it's 5 meters, nearly 6 meters across, blocked solidly with clay. So it took a fire hose and 2,000 liters of water and a very, very, very good pump. And we made a bit of a dent in it, but it's not done yet. And I missed a lot of what was being said while we were trying to get that down. I did hear the end of his speech as well, and I've caught up on a few other bits. But by and large, there's a long way to go.
6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
Thank you to Sky News for letting me rip off a bit of their stuff. Elon Musk and Doge are the power behind Trump in this whole thing. They are literally a Trump card. The Supreme Court has ruled that they can go into, I think, any and every department, particularly the payment schedules for every department. And that's why they are finding, well, at least $1 trillion so far. And I'm expecting that there is going to be potentially another $1 trillion more. Now, they're talking about a Doge dividend being paid back to every American. That figure that's being thrown around at the moment is $5,000 US. Now, a dividend is something that's paid to you over time. It's something you will keep getting maybe on a yearly basis. And if that is what they're suggesting, then that sounds a lot like a new financial system coming into play. I expected to hear a lot more about March 4th, the original date for the president to be inaugurated. I kind of was hoping that there would be some earth-shattering news regarding the Epstein tapes or Epstein files, which for some reason seemed to have gone very quiet. Now, I know that the US Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has issued another letter to Kash Patel instructing that he begin an investigation into those who have a criminal investigation into those within the FBI who have either destroyed or have refused to hand over the evidence that she requested in her first letter to all FBI operatives. And that was for everything on Epstein. She was given very little information on Epstein. In fact, it included nothing of his earlier convictions and nothing of his earlier deals with the FBI as an informer. It was laughable, the amount of information that she got, and I think she is feeling the sting of it. There has been, and Elon Musk has been a champion for both her and Kash Patel, saying, hey, listen, they've just got in there and they are roundly hated by every person who's working for them. I understand that. I tend to agree. there are going to be elements in there that are deeply dead set against anything that Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi are going to do, and they will actively work against them. These people need to be sourced, and by the look of it, the Southern District of New York, the FBI office there, appears to be a hub for it. In fact, the chief agent in charge of that Southern District of New York office has been resigned. That's not, he didn't want to resign, he was resigned. He resigned and I think had a parting shot on the way out. After the inauguration, he was famous for tweeting to his own people, dig in, let's dig in. And that's obviously what they've done. Played hardball. So now a criminal investigation is being launched by head of the FBI, Kash Patel. I imagine he might hand that off to his assistant and second in charge, Dan Bongino, who has a bit of experience in the investigation of shitfuckery inside and outside of politics. So fingers crossed we haven't heard the end of that yet, but I've got to say it is an extremely embarrassing situation for all concerned and a shame. Maybe he did mention it in a part that I haven't seen yet, and I will go back and play the thing in its entirety again later. But as you appreciate, today has been a bit busy, and tomorrow will be as well. I've got to move the bus. I don't have to move it far, but I do have to move it. There is a bloody large gum tree out here behind me that I just don't trust, and it's likely to come through my bedroom window. A lot of things are happening in Australia at the moment. Politicians are looking for your vote, and I've got to be honest, some weird shit's going on in Canberra. The other day, I was notified. In fact, I think I was in Canberra briefly, and when I say briefly, I arrived in Canberra, was in Canberra from the time it took me to drive from the airport to a house in a, what would you call it, a northern suburb of Canberra. Pick up a trailer and drive out of Canberra. That's how long I was in town. Never saw Parliament House or anything like it. But that is the flight track of a helicopter, a Sea King helicopter or a Seahawk, that's flying the track of Lake Burley Griffin. Now, why is it flying the track of Lake Burley Griffin? It says there it's flying it at 2,000 feet. I can tell you, at times it was a lot lower than that. Now, what is that flag it's flying? Well, that is the Australian Royal Navy flag. Well, I think the Navy fly that now as their ensign, and that is the Australian Naval Ensign or ensign. So why was it flying around Parliament House and Lake Burley Griffin the other day? It does raise some interesting questions. Maybe it was Navy Day. I don't know. Maybe it's just something as simple as that. Maybe there's something a little bit deeper to it. So I don't know, you flag lovers, if you want to delve into that. I do have a little bit of other information, which I'm keeping myself about it at the moment, but be interested to see what you come up with, just to see how it works. Now, cloud seeding doesn't happen, does it? Would never happen. There's nothing to do with spraying and all that kind of crap, except that there was this new graphene oxide nanoparticle for cloud seeding patent done back in 2022. And it was done by a couple of Chinese scientists working in America, I'm assuming, as it's a US patent number. The Chinese don't worry about patents. So that's a bit of possibility. I've also got a very interesting video, which I can't play you because of the copyright bullshit they'll nail me on. But what I will try and do is revoice it. I'll copy the narrative and I will give credit to whoever it is that's made it. But it is a very interesting historical tale about Orville Wright. You might remember Orville Wright. He had a bit to do with the first plane flight. He was working in an office one day in 1923. In fact, in May, the story came out in a popular science magazine in May of 23. That's 1923. Where Orville Wright wrote that he was at his office at an airport, assumedly, and heard the noise of an aircraft flying at approximately 2,000 feet and saw it flying into cloud. Behind it was a stream of smoke. and it later turned out that it was a form of dust that was being placed into the got a two-way radio in here that's been going off. Let me just turn that down for a moment. Thank you. There was this dust particle being put into the clouds. So cloud seeding 1923, in fact, it was started earlier than that. And they were using balloons, and they were using something called electric sand. Now, this involved sand particles being charged either positively or negatively and being taken up in biplanes with boom sprays attached to them and spraying that into clouds to attract water molecules. When enough water molecules formed, larger drops would fall, and the smaller drops would fall, a large number of the smaller drops would fall with them. And they were already, it appears, to be experimenting in the 1920s with what they could do with weather modification. Now, if it became publicly available in the Popular Science magazine of 1923, where that information was sort of put out to the world, how long had the military been doing it? Now, flying was a relatively new thing. We're talking, 20, maybe not quite 20 years old. It seems amazing that the military would have leapt to such a thing straight away until you really consider just how powerful weather modification would be in a war situation. How wet could you make the trenches? How miserable could you make it? And I believe there are certain places in Europe in World War II that might have found that out. So I'll cut that down over the next few days. Depending on how wet and windy it gets, we won't be going outside and doing anything too bloody exciting. So I would expect we'll see if we can't get a little bit more of that information coming your way. Now, I want to talk about something that's probably a bit touchy. However, I am beyond disappointed that it's happening. But what are you going to do? A 101-year-old man on a mobility scooter was attacked and robbed by 3 female teens in Darwin. Now, they beat this old guy. They stole his money. They stole his scooter. I don't think they kept the scooter for long. And I'm not sure that they've been arrested yet. But it gets kind of worse. Darwin, at the moment, for whatever reason, seems to be going through a number of trials and tribulations. This is a 60-year-old bottle shop worker who was knocked out by a bloke for a carton of beer. Now, Darwin just seems to be going through something at the moment. We're getting a lot of reports out of Darwin. Alice Springs was the place we were getting a heap out of a little while ago, and now that seems to have quietened down. I'm not sure if that's actually the truth, or maybe they've just suppressed the news coming out of there. But these attacks, this violence, this ongoing separation between black and white needs to be breached. We need to unify, because if we can't, then we will never gain control of our parliament. We will never gain control of our freedom. And we will all, black, white, brindle, yellow, pink, green, whatever you want to call yourself, will be slaves for the rest of our lives. Now, while it's easy to get angry at the perpetrators when you see a video like that, somebody very close to me said, we have to fight this darkness with light, which is a bitter pill to swallow for people like me, because generally you want to fight an eye for an eye, Old Testament style. But I believe this person to be 100% right. I can't preach violence. I can't pretend that it is a solution, because it's not. Yes, I'm sure communicating with certain people, once again, color or creed makes no difference. Communicating what's really going on in the world with certain people is a simple waste of time. I personally have been dealing with someone recently, thankfully from a bit of a distance, that is vaccinated. And this person is just off tap. Ego has gone insane, and a maniacal, manipulative personality has appeared that is quite vicious, quite nasty, very deceitful, and will work against you. We are going to find more and more of those kind of people in our daily interactions. So if there is any waking up of people to be done, it's probably already been done. There are some that are going to be naturally awakening, and I'm certainly finding those around who are asking more and more questions. And there are those, when you ask them, oh, are you awake? They say, oh, yeah. And then you hit them with something and they go, oh, yeah, I've heard about that. Oh, is that how that works? Oh, all right. Ask them to take you down whatever rabbit hole they went down last and see whether or not they are awake. Ask them whether or not they've ever heard of adrenochrome. Ask them if they've ever heard of the 13 families. Ask them if they can tell the difference between Ashkenazi and Khazarian Judaism. Ask them if they know the Jewish Rothschilds are not Jews, but control all the money in the world, all the banks, all the central banking systems. Ask them. And if they ask for confirmation, say this is how you become awake. Because you, me, we can sit down and tell them all the truth. But unless you go out and find certainly some of it for yourself, you won't believe. You'll nod your head and smile politely, and then tomorrow night when you're sitting around a table of fully vaccinated family and friends, you'll be telling the story of what you did last night with a bunch of unvaccinated fools who believe anything from the world is flat to there was a giant conspiracy to kill billions of people between 2020 and 2025. And just see how that goes down. I think it could be a little interesting, don't you? I'm going to end the show shortly. I can't do it without I can't do it without not getting my ass kicked. And I know Vince isn't in here tonight, but stick with me because I got something that I think you'll like when I close.
Hi, are you passionate about supporting independent media and social events? Voice of Freedom is dedicated to bringing you the latest happenings and things that matter. But we can't do it without your help. By donating, sponsoring, or becoming a member, you're not just supporting our mission. You're joining a community that values transparency and engagement. Your contributions allow us to continue producing high-quality content that informs and inspires. Visit VOFHQ.com to make a donation or explore sponsorship or membership opportunities. You can even donate using crypto. Together, we can amplify voices that deserve to be heard as we continue to create a vibrant platform for social change. Go to VOFHQ.com, help us to help you by joining us and making a difference today.
Hey, Chris, you're right about that one. The military is still required to take the jab. Yes, I guess you saw the same thing I may have seen with Senator Rennick inquiring about that today in Senate estimates. And I think he put up a pretty good fight, but I don't know that he won, did he? pretty hard. I think they had the Navy Surgeon General there, a lady who, well, she presented like she knew what she was saying. However, she was presenting a whole heap of false information, and I keep going back to the fact we are watching a movie, folks, so I don't get too emotionally involved in the arguments they're putting forward. I have been liking what Senator James Patterson has been doing with his time in the Senate Estimates Committee, particularly over the federal police and our other agencies, for the want of a better term. They are, well, he seems to be digging into the wastage and making them accountable, but they are putting a lot of the questions that they don't want to answer on notice. And of course, we're expecting Albo Sleazy to announce over the weekend or Monday at the latest a federal election date, in which case the Parliament will be, I've forgotten the name for it now, it'll be closed. There will be no work conducted as such, and the questions will go unanswered that were left on notice through this estimates period. So watch this space. We'll see what happens there. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due here. Far North Queensland is a place, I've only been there once, well, twice. And I love it. I really do. Love the people, love the place, love the country. And I love the sense of humour. Now, I haven't been to Cooktown yet. I promise I am coming to Cooktown, come hell or high water. I owe you money for a plane flight I never got on, so I haven't forgotten. And when I get there, I want to meet and maybe have on the show, if we can arrange it, please, a local band called the Road Trippers. Now, the Cairns News has done an article on the Road Trippers. They had a song called It's 100 Cigarettes to Kununurra. There was a hit a few years ago. Now, these are a blues kind of country rock kind of local band out of Cooktown. And I would love to catch up with them. Now, you're going to hear a little bit of that 100 Cigarettes to Kununurra, which I'm sure you'll be able to go to iTunes or somewhere and download. Should you so desire it. And I'm probably going to get a copyright strike for it. So if that happens, they'll give me the opportunity to cut this segment out. So if that happens, folks, then you'll have to just go and find the, oh, hell, I don't even know where I got this now. But this clip I'm about to play you is something I would like you all to take notice of in this very, very serious time. Did I tell you that there is a cyclone coming?
G'day Southeast Queenslanders, Sackerbush Jones, North Queenslander, here to pass on some advice to help you manage safely through Cyclone Alfred, which appears to be on track to hit you fellas, which, as we know, is a little bit unusual for you daily drivers of the M1. But hey, good of you to take this one for us. I mean, what good's all the state funding heading down to you, mob, if you can't cop a bit of wind once in a while, eh? Eh? G'day, Bob, if you're watching. Now, first things first, you're going to want to get ahead of what I call the Good Friday effect. Get to your nearest bottle shop and stock up in bulk on your cyclone management kit of choice. Now, I've got quite a few here, which should get me through about 48 hours of cyclonic weather at a medium pace. Next, of course, the best places to drink your beer. Stairwells, doorways, hallways, under the table, under your bed. But no, seriously, if it does start to feel a little too scary and you do believe your home is about to be compromised and you are fortunate enough to have a bathtub in your home, put your beer in there and then cover it with a mattress, just like this one here, and that will give it the best chance possible of still being there if you manage to make it through. Now, obviously, take a few out and put them in your pockets and take a few with you, because if you do end up buried under your neighbour's front veranda, which is blowing off, the last thing you want is to be out of grog while you're waiting to be found. Righto, well that's about it, I reckon. I think we've covered it all. The essentials anyway. Well, be safe, stay away from the windows, and have fun drinking with your new mate Alfie. Enjoy it.
We're going
Cheers.
out back here, we're going out the camel wheel. 'Cause it's 100 smokes to Kununurra.
Fuck. Forgot about you. What about that? Well, don't be fussy. It's a natural disaster, mate.
I love it. Angry Christmas Productions. Out of this world productions. Bloody brilliant. Go over to YouTurd and Facebook and give them a like. And if you're going to give likes out, don't forget to like and share this show, will you please? And please leave a comment. If you haven't been in our chats, then leave it in the comments bar. The VOF and the Voice of Freedom channels are the ones that I will check mostly. And if you are on the Facebook site, my Facebook site, you can comment there, and I think that'll probably pop up somewhere where I'll see it. Although I get a lot of stuff through Messenger and Facebook, and I'm like thousands of messages behind. So anyway, thank you, God. Love you, Sandy K. And yes, it is gold. So Angry Christmas Productions, and you'll catch them on Facebook and YouTube and well, wherever else they showed up there. And I hope we can get together when I come to Cooktown, because it would be absolutely amazing to have a night with those blokes providing the music, 100 Smokes to Kununurra, and more of their finest. I've actually heard a couple of other of their tracks. There's another one called Salt Bush Boogie or something like that, I think. And yeah, a couple of really, really, really good tracks, particularly if you like your rhythm, blues and rock. Bit of country rock's not too bad either. All right, folks, the rain is pouring. I don't know if you can hear it at the moment, but it is pouring at the moment. So I'll go and make sure that all my hatches are sealed and I'm not getting a little flood in places I shouldn't be getting them. Thank you for your indulgence over the last couple of days where I haven't been able to bring you a show. And I would have on Monday night at Sandy's place, but she cooked up the most amazing corned beef and spuds and pumpkin and so I had that, and Barry made me drink beer, and that made me tired. So by the time we'd finished eating the beautiful meal and drinking the wonderful beer, it was time to go to bed. So that's why nothing much happened there. But I did catch up with Sandy the next morning, and we had a little bit of a look around the property, and we will introduce you to a number of her 102 charges, including four, I beg your pardon, of the most amazing miniature donkeys you're ever likely to meet. Beautiful, beautiful creatures. Thank you, Sandy and Baz, for your hospitality again, and thank you to you for continuing to follow me here on the Voice of Freedom. If you can support us in any way, shape or form, it would be appreciated. We'd love you to become a member. You can do that at vofhq.com. If you don't want to be a member and sign up for something regularly every month and you just want to give a once off, then there's a donate button that you can help us out with there too. And thank you very much. Tomorrow night, I hope we will have Vincent on, because I haven't had him in a little while, so it'd be nice to catch up. And please, if you do have the ability or the desire to be sitting up early on Friday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, please reach out, carl@vofhq.com. Send me your email address, send me a phone number that I can give you a call on, and we will try and set up your report from your area, particularly if it's going to get windy. Email address, because I will get you on StreamYard, and we'll be able to have a little bit of a chat. You can show us what you're seeing out of your windows at the time. Let's hope it's just out your windows. We don't want you going outside, particularly if there's shit blowing around. All right. Be safe on the roads, folks. It's windy. It's wet up here and most of the East Coast at the moment. So if it's like that where you are, be extra safe on the road. Always, always, always be courteous to others and avoid the dickheads who aren't.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!